What are your thoughts about Sean and Brett's seat, and were you ever to witness any of their backstage like hissy fits?
Brother, I was there with the Hartford Civic Center again.
He pulled his hair out.
Clumps of hair being torn out of the locker room. It was great stuff, man. Good times. There's nothing like a locker room fight to get everybody talking. It's like a schoolyard fight.
Right.
Not much really happens, but man, there's a bunch of gossip hounds. They love all that stuff. The most dysfunctional family in the world is a backstage dressing room. They feed off of that. That was great stuff.
Who do you think was right or wrong in that situation, or both were wrong?
Both were wrong. Completely wrong. You know, out there on live TV saying things about each other. And
Sunny days.
Sunny, give me a break. You know, come on.
What are the locker room like? Just like, did they associate their Sean and Brett, or they just kind of just laughed at them?
The clique had broken up by that point.
There was only Hunter around at the time, right?
And Hunter really was carrying Sean's bags. And I mean baggage. Just trying to prop him up and keep him upright and keep him from screwing up real bad. Because Hunter was, you know, he was trying to reestablish his reputation within the dressing room. He knew that he had thrown him with the wrong team. And
especially for that Goblin match, right?
Well, I mean, that was that, but he wanted to, I think he realized that he was on thin ice and needed to kind of rebuild his reputation a little bit, but he was loyal to Sean, and I think it was said that, because Timmy White was driving Sean around to a lot of the shows, the referee, and he didn't want to do it. He couldn't be responsible for Sean. So I think Hunter kind of said, I'll take care of it.
Right.
And I'll make sure that he's there. And he made all the towns, and, you know, that was part of his job.
It's one of the biggest questions to ask you. What are your thoughts about the Survivor Series 97?
I got a lot of tape. Weird vibe in the building the whole day. I knew you were going to ask me this, so I started to, like, try to put myself back in that place in time. I was off the road at the time, and I was only there because AOL, we were doing, like, a special thing of covering the Survivor Series.
Did you have any clue the finish at the time?
Yes. Not...
The Brett DQ finish?
I'll tell the whole story.
All right.
I was only there because AOL was covering it. During the week, because Vince Russo was helping Vince with TV, and he and I were working so closely on the magazines, he told me what was going on.
So Russo knew?
Didn't know what was going to happen at the time, but knew that Brett was leaving, and Brett was balking at every idea that they gave him.
Right.
And the reason that he knew is because Vince McMahon had Vince Russo pick up the other end of the receiver at his house, which apparently he did on a lot of conversations.
Yeah, who else said it? I didn't hear that shoot. A bunch of people said it.
Yeah, so that there would be no mistaking what was said and what was heard. Even though the other person on the other line, of course, never knew that anybody was there. They knew that going in, they were going to have to do something. And they had this, I guess, in the back of their mind, but Russo never spoke of it. Nobody ever spoke of it. But just something in my gut told me something was up.
Right.
I just knew it, because I knew the backstory. I knew where they were going, how they're going to get there. And just everybody pacing around, pins and needles that day. And I'll never forget the first guy that came back from ringside. Well, I saw the Hebners. I saw Dave go and get the car. He backs the car up. It's running. Here comes Earl. He's in the car. They drive away.
Right.
First one I see come back, we're all just sitting there, the monitor, and everybody's like, holy shit, I can't believe that. First one I see was the King. And the King does one of these. Like, could you believe that? Yeah, I can.
Right.
I went back to Stanford the next day. I missed all the fun at Monday TV where Mick didn't go, and, you know.
Taker complained, I think, right?
Yeah, there was grousing and griping, but it had to happen.
So you believe it did have to happen? Brett had it. You think
Absolutely.
Brett was going to trash the title, though, on WCW, or no?
Nope, I don't think he would have.
But it would look bad if the champion get vacated. And
Never should have been.
because he said he was going to put over Undertaker, I believe, at MSG or something, right, at the time?
He said a lot of things.
Yeah, bullshit.
you know, Brett would have. Bischoff was a very persuasive guy, and
Get Deuce to trash the title.
yeah, that would have been the final straw, I think, for Vince. That would have been it.
To have it be over.
Yeah, that would.
That's actually probably the biggest. That's what probably helped them win the Monday Night Raw.
It was funny because when the ratings came out the next week and we saw the spike that had happened, it's like, damn.
That created Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, it really did. Well, I mean, Vince was already born because of everything with Austin going forward. But that was the beginnings of seeing, you know, him not being the announcer anymore and not being the, you know, kind of the stodgy, uptight guy at ringside.
Yeah.
But it had to happen, no doubt.
What was the locker room at the time when after Brett left?
Well, that famous scene I remember from Wrestling with Shadows. I was standing where Hunter was getting chewed out by
Julie?
Brett's wife.
Uh,
I was standing on the other side of the camera.
I just call him his work angle. You know Hunter, you know Hunter.
Yeah. It was just it was surreal because
Like, was that the craziest night in the wrestling business for you or not?
at that point, yeah.
Yeah.
At that point it was. You always hear about double crosses and you always hear about things like that, but they're folklore. You know, they happened back in the days of Lou Thez. You know, where the champion had to worry about getting, you know, somebody shooting on him and steal the title from him, rival promoters, things like that. When you see something like that evolve in front of you firsthand, you know you're making history. You know you're part of history.
All right.
You got to say I was there. Thank God, that's what I said. I wasn't supposed to be there. It was only because AOL was doing this stuff.
Right.
I would have been hot. Back in Stanford watching in the studio, I would have been pissed. But to say that I was there was awesome.
Yeah. Going back to Brett, what were your thoughts about the midget angle that Shawn Michaels did when he brought up the midget Bret Hart? Do you think it was like a kick to the balls?
Yeah, absolutely. Midgets are gold. Their ratings gold. I mean, look what the midget did for the Amazing Race.
Wow.
I love midgets. You can't go wrong with a midget.
I always popped for Mini Vader back in the day.
Oh man, those little bastards were the best.
Yeah.
You know what? You had Mini Mankind, Mini Goldust, and Mini Vader. And who was the only one that got hot about that? Stupid ass Vader.
Why? That's funny.
He was insulted by it. He thought it was insulting.
That's hilarious.
Goldust and Mick were like, "Oh, this is awesome." They took pictures with it. They thought it was the best. They were so flattered by it, which is what it was. No, Vader,